Welcome back to Have More Babies. Okay, so if your phone feels like it's just constantly buzzing with advice about kids' health, one article says this, another says that, especially with things like colds or the vaccine schedule, you're definitely not alone. It's classic information overload.
It really is. It can be overwhelming for parents.
So our mission today is simple. Cut through all that noise. We're going deep into the source material on two really fundamental things that kind of form a child's protective shield.
Yeah.
First, those essential daily hygiene habits, the stuff they need to own themselves.
Yeah.
And second, the critical facts about vaccines, the ones that protect not just your kid, but everyone.
Exactly. And we need to frame this right. It's not just about dodging germs, though that's obviously key. These good habits, they actually build lifelong wellness, confidence too, and structure. And on the flip side, getting the vaccine facts straight. That protects your child from some really serious diseases and, importantly, prevents those awful community outbreaks we sometimes hear about.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We'll start with those daily habits, the ones that really make the biggest difference day to day. Maybe look beyond just the obvious rules.
Yeah, let's look at the why and the how. It's helpful to see hygiene as, well, a whole process. You know, a young child's immune system is still figuring things out, right? So they are more vulnerable to common stuff. Colds, flu, stomach bugs. Hygiene is line one of defense. But like I said, there's more to it. That consistency, the routine itself, it actually helps build their self-confidence, their ability to follow a structure. It's pretty foundational stuff.
Okay, let's dive into the absolute must-do, the first line of defense, hand washing. We all know we're supposed to do it, but the sources suggest it. Well, it often falls short in practice. What's the specific thing we need to hammer home beyond just use soap?
Right. It often fails on consistency and, crucially, time. Everyone talks about the 20 seconds singing happy birthday twice. That's a good timer, sure. But the real insight is teaching them what to scrub. Palms, yes. Backs of the hands, yes. But especially between those fingers and under the fingernails. That's where the germs love to hide, the spots we often miss. And we have to show them. Wash together. Maybe put up a little chart near the sink. Leading by example is huge here.
That makes total sense. We get caught up on the how long and forget the how well. Okay, moving on from hands. Personal care, bathing frequency, that's always a debate, isn't it? How does age factor in?
Yeah, the sources show a pretty clear shift. For toddlers, 2, maybe 3 baths a week is usually fine, unless they've, rolled in mud or something. But it changes quite a bit once they hit school age, and especially puberty. They're more active, there's more oil, maybe starting to get some body odor. Then daily showers or baths become much more important, particularly after sports.
Got it. And then dental care, a real cornerstone, but one where parents sometimes struggle with knowing if the kids are really doing it right. Brushing morning and night, 2 minutes, we know that, but where's the common slip-up?
It's often the flossing. The sources really stress this. Flossing needs to start as soon as those little teeth are touching each other. No gaps, time to floss. But here's the thing, parents often hand over the reins too early. The guidance is clear. You, the parent, need to help or even do the flossing until that child has the fine motor skills to do it effectively. And honestly, that might not be until they're 6, maybe even 7.
6 or 7, wow.
Yeah, so if you're not still checking in on your 7-year-old's flossing, you probably should be. Make sure they're actually getting between the teeth properly. And yes, still just a pea-sized amount of fluoride toothpaste for the older kids, that hasn't changed.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Oh.
The habits we might just gloss over because they seem small, but they're actually huge germ traps. You mentioned fingernails earlier.
Yes. It's such a good point. Fingernails can trap all sorts of gunk that even decent hand washing might miss, especially underneath. The routine's simple, but really vital. Trim them once a week, use clean clippers, and teach them to use a little soft brush with soap to actively scrub under the nail bed when they wash their hands. And quickly, on nail biting, if you have a nail biter, just telling them to stop rarely works. It's often linked to anxiety. Maybe try offering alternatives, like a fidget toy or something, rather than just criticizing.
Good tip. Let's also hit toilet hygiene. Super important, especially for preventing those painful UTIs in little girls.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable teaching moment here. For girls, you have to explicitly teach wiping front to back. Show them, explain why, reinforce it again and again. And for all kids, boys and girls, mandatory hand washing with soap immediately after flushing. That's the final step every single time.
Okay, and the sources also touch on protecting the community, right? It's not just about keeping ourselves clean, but respecting shared spaces. I'm thinking about coughing and sleep.
Yeah, covering coughs and sneezes, basic manners, but also basic hygiene. The elbow rule is the way to go. Teach them to cough or sneeze right into their inner elbow, not their hands. You can make it fun, call it the vampire cough or sneeze shield. If they use their hands, they're just spreading germs onto the next doorknob or toy they touch.
The vampire cough, I like that.
Mm.
Okay, and the last one you mentioned, the sort of hidden habit, sleep hygiene. How does that fit in?
It's almost like metabolic hygiene. A clean, consistent sleep routine is so fundamental for keeping their immune system strong, keeping them focused, everything. The key things here aren't really negotiable. A regular bedtime, stick to it. No screens for at least an hour before that time. That blue light really messes with sleep signals. And part of sleep hygiene is a clean environment, washing those sheets weekly.
Okay, we've laid out the key habits. Now, the million-dollar question, making it stick.
Mm-hmm.
Parents get tired, kids resist, frustration sets in. What do the sources say works best instead of just getting critical?
Yeah, criticism usually backfires. The keys are consistency, making it fun, and positive reinforcement. Consistency means every time. No exceptions, especially when you're starting out. Try making it a game. Sticker charts can work for little ones. Set timers for brushing. Maybe offer an extra story if they nail the bedtime routine without fuss. But most importantly, praise the effort. Explain the why behind it. This keeps us healthy so we can play, rather than shaming them if they forget. Lead by example always.
That's a great summary for the daily stuff. Okay, let's shift gears now. Moving from the habits we control every day to a big health decision that causes, frankly, a lot of anxiety and confusion for parents. Vaccines. We're definitely wading into some choppy waters with misinformation here.
It's true. There's so much noise out there, especially on social media, and it can really cloud the picture. But the fundamental science is incredibly clear. Vaccines work by safely teaching the child's immune system to recognize and fight off dangerous germs without actually causing the full disease. It's like giving the immune system a training manual. And the protection is huge. It protects your child, yes, but it also protects the most vulnerable around them, tiny newborns, people with weakened immune systems. And it prevents those community-wide outbreaks of diseases we thought were gone.
Right, so let's tackle the big myths head on. The one that just won't die. The supposed link between vaccines and autism. We need absolute clarity here based on the source material.
Crystal clear. That myth started from one single study that was completely fraudulent. It was retracted years ago. The author lost his medical license. It was bad science, period. Since then, study after study, massive ones involving millions of children across the globe, have found absolutely no link whatsoever between vaccines and autism. Scientifically, it's a closed case. It's misinformation, plain and simple.
Okay. Another big worry I hear, and this one feels more like genuine parental concern, is that the recommended vaccine schedule seems, well, crowded. Like it's too much too soon for a tiny baby's system.
Yeah.
What's the response to that?
It's an understandable feeling, but it doesn't quite line up with how the immune system actually works. Think about it. Every single day, a baby encounters thousands, literally thousands, of antigens, tiny parts of germs. Just by breathing, eating, touching things, their immune system handles that constantly. The total number of antigens in the entire childhood vaccine schedule, all the shots combined, is tiny compared to that daily natural exposure. The schedule isn't crowded in a way that overwhelms the system. It's carefully optimized based on decades of research to provide protection at the right times.
That leads right into the idea of delaying or spacing out shots. Some parents think that's a safer middle ground. What do the sources say about the actual danger of choosing an alternative delayed schedule?
Delaying is actually quite dangerous. It leaves babies and toddlers vulnerable during their absolute highest risk period, those first couple of years. That's when complications from diseases like measles or whooping cough are most severe, even deadly. The recommended schedule is designed to give maximum protection precisely when that risk is highest. Spacing shots out just extends the time they're left unprotected.
Yeah.
It's not safer, it increases risk.
And what about when the schedule changes? That makes parents nervous too. They think, well, if they're changing it now, maybe the old way wasn't safe.
That's a sign of science getting better, not admitting failure. Schedules get updated because our understanding improves. We develop new, effective vaccines like for rotavirus, which causes severe diarrhea, or HPV, which prevents cancer. And scientists refine the timing based on the very latest research about how a child's immune system develops best. Updates mean we're constantly working to give better, more precise protection. It's progress.
Okay, connecting this back to the community idea you mentioned earlier. Herd immunity. Can you explain that simply?
Sure. Herd immunity is basically community protection. When enough people in a community are vaccinated against a disease, it has nowhere to go. It can't spread easily because most people are protected. This is super important because it protects those who can't get vaccinated. Maybe tiny babies too young for certain shots, or people with cancer, or on certain medications. They rely on the herd around them being immune.
And the flip side, when vaccination rates drop.
That's when herd immunity breaks down. And when that happens, diseases we haven't seen much of in years, things like measles, whooping cough, they can come roaring back and spread like wildfire. It puts everyone at risk, but especially the most vulnerable, your decision really does impact others.
Okay, last point on this. The fear of side effects.
Mm-hmm.
Parents worry about a sore arm, maybe a low fever.
Yeah.
How do we balance that very real, though usually small, possibility against the risks of the actual disease?
We have to look at risk versus reality rationally. Yes, mild side effects from vaccines are possible, even common. A sore arm, feeling crummy for a day, maybe a slight fever, they happen and they're manageable. Serious side effects are incredibly rare, extremely rare. Now compare that tiny risk to the risk of the actual disease. Measles, it can cause pneumonia, brain swelling, death. Polio, paralysis. Whooping cough can be fatal for infants. You're choosing between a very small chance of temporary discomfort versus a real, documented risk of severe illness, lifelong disability, or even death. The fear of the tiny vaccine risk shouldn't overshadow the massive risk of the disease itself.
So bringing it all together, what's the main takeaway here? Whether we're talking about consistently washing hands or making informed choices about vaccines.
It really comes down to informed choices. Knowing the why and the how for hygiene, understanding the actual science behind vaccines, these things lead to healthier kids who are more confident, better protected.
And that, in turn, builds healthier, safer communities for everyone.
Exactly. And maybe one final thought for people to mull over. Think about natural immunity versus vaccine immunity. Yes, getting the actual disease might give you strong immunity, but it comes with the potentially devastating cost of that disease. The complications, the hospital stays, the long-term effects, or worse. Vaccine immunity gives you strong protection without having to pay that incredibly high price. It's the safer, smarter path.
That's a powerful point. Okay, the knowledge we've covered today is so important. To dig deeper into these topics, find reliable resources for building those hygiene habits, or get credible information on vaccines, we strongly encourage you. Please visit omegapediatrics.com.
Yeah, definitely check that out. And hey, if this deep dive helped bring some clarity for you today, maybe take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel too so you don't miss future insights, and please share this with another parent. Someone else you know might be feeling that information overload and could really use this.
Thanks so much for diving deep with us today.
Hope to see you next time.